Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this CAW Business School webinar to do with AAT qualifications. Hopefully, I will go through all the details that you need, but please, if there is anything that you specifically want to ask that I haven't covered, or you want any more information on any more detail on any of the information I've given, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A and I will come to them at the end. Alternatively, you can contact us separately and we'll be happy to talk to you about any of the specific questions you've got. So just going to try and move the slide on. Hold on a minute. There we go. Okay, so the AAT qualification. What is it and why do people do it? It is a practical qualification. You don't have to be in a relevant job to do the qualification. It is theory based. It is assessed by exam, several exams in each level, and I'll come on to that a little bit later. Any time that you are in a role, however, and you can link your learning to your workplace, it just may help you apply the theory that you're learning to a practical situation. But each unit does have a practical aspect to it. And depending on the level that you're at, depends on which your experience and which qualifications you've got, depends on which level you start at. So each qualification, each level has different units in it, which I will explain in a little bit more detail later. It is an international qualification, well respected by employers in both practice and in industry. So there's no restrictions. You can work either in an accountancy practice, you can work for yourself, or you can work in industry, and it's relevant to all of those sectors. When I say it's internationally recognised, it absolutely is. The qualification is taken in multiple different countries. Wherever the qualification is taken, it is taken in English, so it's not translated into other languages. And it's based on agreed standards of competence. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about levels 2, level 3, and level 4, which are the practical levels that you will apply in whichever workplace you're in. And there's an AAT statement there, says 80% of AAT members who've completed an accounting qualification agree that it has increased and improved their earning potential. There is some research that was done by AAT, and they looked at qualifications, whether someone was still a student, whether they were an affiliate member or a full member, and their data proved that with an AAT qualification, there was an improved salary expectation. Satisfaction is high with people on AAT qualifications in their job role. It links very well. And this was done just after the pandemic, and 14% of AAT members have at some point been furloughed. And what, of course, that allowed people to do was it allowed people to either carry on with their studies because you didn't have to be in a role, or it allowed people to start doing some work for themselves. So it may have been a time where people perhaps changed roles. So I talked a little bit just now about the qualification structure. There are 3 levels that we teach. There's 3 levels for AAT that are practical qualifications. There is a level 1, but it is designed for people who've never been in a workplace, potentially directly out of school, and it's more to do with general employment and expectations than it is to do with accounting. Level 2 starts the formal practical accounting theory. And what you'll see there from that list on the slide is you've got an opportunity to do 2 different qualifications at level 2 and 2 different qualifications at level 3. So should you want to be a qualified bookkeeper rather than a qualified accountant, you can choose to do the level 2 bookkeeping followed by the level 3 bookkeeping. You can start these qualifications at any level. What we would always do before, when someone's applied for a course with us, is we carry out a pre-course discussion, and that is to determine the work experience that anyone's got, the previous qualifications, and whether they've got any practical accounting experience and any theoretical experience. And that helps us decide and talk to people about the level they'd start at. The level 2 accounting, the level 2 bookkeeping is 2 units. The level 3 bookkeeping is 2 units. So on completion of 4 units, you can apply to be a qualified bookkeeper and put the letters AAT after your name, and you can be licensed and you can carry out bookkeeping duties. The level 2 accounting is 4 units. The level 3 accounting is 4 units. Of those 4 units, the first 2 are the bookkeeping units. So sometimes what people do is they do a level 2 in bookkeeping and move on to a level 3 in accounting. And the reason for that is because the level 2 qualification focuses heavily on double entry bookkeeping. So I'm going to go through the units in a bit more detail now. So you can see here on this slide, we're going to look at level 2 first. The level 2 bookkeeping contains 2 units: Introduction to Bookkeeping, which is primarily understanding and learning the principles of manual double entry bookkeeping. And then it moves on to the principles of bookkeeping controls, whereby, having done that manual double entry bookkeeping, you look at control accounts to ensure that everything has been done correctly and posted correctly, and allows you to identify where there may be any errors and how to correct them. What you will see when you look at the 4 units for level 2 accounting is the first 2 units are the same. So you could think to yourself, okay, I will sign up to level 2 bookkeeping, and if I get on with it, okay, then I will convert to level 2 accounting, and you can just do the remaining 2 units. So principles of costing is an introduction to costing and cost behavior, looking at how both a manufacturing and a service industry might cost their products or their services. And then the business environment is a more generic unit that looks at company structures, principles of law, has some beginning of accounting, principles of professional ethics in there, and sustainability. Level 3. Again, 4 units in total for accounting, and you will see that those first 2 units again are the same in the bookkeeping qualifications as they are in the accounting qualification. So you can look at both of these levels if you like and think that the bookkeeping is kind of half an accounting qualification, and it is just the bookkeeping element of it, which is where I said you can, having completed those first 2 units at level 3, register to be a qualified bookkeeper, which then would allow you to do the day-to-day accounts for clients, self-employed, your own accounts as well. So the financial accounting preparing financial statements unit, that looks at, it does do a recap of double entry from level 2, and I can't stress enough how important that manual double entry bookkeeping is. Lots of people say, oh no, I can't do manual double entry bookkeeping, but I use a computerized system, which is absolutely great because they've got some practical accounting experience. But what they don't know is they don't know what's happening behind the scenes when they're putting codes in. And it really gives the fundamental understanding of the principles of accounting. If you don't understand manual double entry bookkeeping, but you have got some experience, you don't have to start at level 2. You can start at this level 3. I always just say to people, it's really worth being aware that the first bit of the level 3 will be pretty intense, because you're going to be learning the double entry alongside the additional level 3 content. We do have a short online course that we've called it Fast Track to Level 3, that kind of does a whistle-stop tour of all the things that would have been learnt at level 2, but without taking the exams, and gives you a good start into level 3. So if anybody is thinking of doing that, then it's really worth registering early so that you can spend some time focusing on that double entry, doing some self-study to prepare yourself to go into level 3. So having built on the principles of double entry bookkeeping, this unit really looks at preparing accounts for sole traders and partnerships. So looking at being able to balance accounts, prepare a statement of profit and loss and a statement of financial position for those two types of business entity. And then there is a unit that is called Tax Processes for Business that is predominantly VAT, although it does cover PAYE and how payroll tax is posted to the accounts and how we record that information in the accounting records. So with those two units, that's the qualified bookkeeper. Moving on to the accounting, the management accounting techniques, you look at some profitability ratios, you look at how one person's accounts compares to another, perhaps in the same industry. You look at cost classification, allocating overheads and how you may apportion them. And you look at the basics of absorption and marginal costing and how as a business you look at all your costs and use it to determine potentially a pricing structure. And then again, in this level, you've got a general unit, business awareness. Again, it looks at organization structures. It looks at the governance of organization, who owns them, who controls them, who manages them. Ethics, again, never get away from ethics in accounting. It's a profession that the ethics are important and has a code of conduct that goes alongside it. And it also looks at data and big data and use of technology. So that is the level 3 qualification. And then moving on to level 4. So at level 4, at the moment, we're due a new syllabus, but not until September 26. So it's only in the initial consultation stages at the moment. So right now, if you started a qualification now, you would be looking at taking 3 mandatory units and 2 optional units. So the 3 mandatory units, for all of these units that I've just talked about at levels 2 and 3, every unit has an exam as its assessment. So again, here, 3 units are mandatory units, 3 exams. The mandatory units, you've got drafting and interpreting financial statements. So that's building on your preparing accounts for sole traders and partnerships. And this looks at preparing accounts for limited companies. Looks at implementation of the international accounting standards, goes further to from statement of profit and loss, statement of financial position to cash flow statements, and also looks at consolidation of accounts, so group accounts, and how goodwill could be applied if companies buy one another. Your applied management accounting is a step on from the management accounting in level 3, and it looks at statistical techniques, activity-based costing. It looks at how a business makes decisions, both long-term decisions and short-term decisions in terms of investment decisions mainly. Looks at performance indicators. So again, there's the ratio theme goes all the way from level 3 through to level 4 and is covered in multiple units there. So each subsequent level you get more ratios to look at and gives you a bigger, better picture of how an organization is performing in its market. Then internal accounting systems and controls. This one is about how a business manages its internal operations. It's got a little bit of auditing in there. It looks at the different systems, so the sales system, the purchasing system, looks at things like segregation of duties, whether there's any opportunity for fraud, theft, that kind of thing. Looks at strengths and weaknesses of the company, and cost benefit analysis, that type of thing. So they're the 3 mandatory units. Everyone has to do those. Then once you get to the optional units, you have to choose 2 of the 5 units that are listed there. When we teach the units in the classroom, we teach the personal tax and the business tax, predominantly because that's what most people want, and is most applicable to them personally and them in the workplace. So personal tax looks at things like income from property, income from employment, some shares, investment, and how you would be taxed if you disposed of them. It looks at things like badges of trade, whether someone could be determined as self-employed or employed, dependent on their status. Looks at some partnership accounting and how you account for profits as an individual. Then the business tax looks at corporation tax and looking at trading income. There is some crossover there that does cover some share disposals and capital gains tax in there. Audit and assurance, everything to do with auditing in a company, both internal and touches on external. So the sort of things that would be checked, your testing, compliance, substantive testing, and the confidence levels of the processes in the business. Cash and financial management is looking at cash flow, patterns of cash flow, and how you might manage additional cash and investments. And credit and debt management is looking at still managing some finances, but looking at granting credit and the processes that you would need to go through for raising finance, and again, what you would do with surplus funds. As I said before, you don't have to start at level 2. Very much where you start depends on your current experience, qualifications, confidence levels, and confidence levels are massively important in all of this. As I said before, all units are formally assessed by exam. They're computer-based exams. You can take them at centre. You can also take some of them or a lot of them remotely. I think there's only a couple of exams now that you can't take remotely, and that's because there's a spreadsheet element in them or using external software. For every single AAT exam, the pass mark is 70%. For a lot of the exams at levels 2 and 3, you get instant results. A couple of the exams at level 3 and all of the exams at level 4 have got some element of human marking in them, and they can take up to 6 weeks to come in. So that's the same for all qualifications, all levels of the qualification and all units. So how do we at CAW Business School compare to they're the units, they're down the left hand side, and our pass rates for our last academic year. So for every unit, we've got a higher than national average pass rates. We do teach in the classroom. We teach in small groups. We don't normally have more than 15 in a group, so it gives time for some individual support. If people are supported through the qualification by their employer, we keep their employer up to date with how they're progressing. We send half-termly reports and we do regular learner reviews. So you can see there for each of the units, and I know if you want to look at that in more detail, I think Alison will send out the slides and the recording for you to look at that in more detail. And the national pass rates, they're given out by AAT. So that was the last set of pass rates that was available from AAT. All our lecturers are qualified teachers and qualified accountants with experience in both industry and practice. We are also assessors, so we can support apprentices gathering their portfolio evidence in the workplace and matching it to the standards. And as I said, we have small classes and we can offer some, one-to-one help. if people are nervous before an exam or want a little bit of extra support, then we can absolutely do that. We offer both classroom and distance learning courses, so I will explain both of them in a little bit more detail for you. When we run our classroom courses, each level is run on a different day. So at the moment, our level 4 is on a Tuesday, our level 2 is on a Wednesday, and our level 3 is on a Thursday. We run half-day sessions. They're long half days, so we do 9:15 till 1. We do run a level 4 course in an evening. That's on a Monday evening, 5:30 till 8:30. So the rationale behind that is that everyone's jobs are busy. If you're working, whether you're working in accounting or you're working in a different industry, then it's busy to fit in both work, study, and family life, if that's relevant. So we offer a fairly intensive half-day session in the morning, meaning that if you are working, you can get back to work in the afternoon, and therefore you're not going in the next day to a mountain of work that you haven't covered. We run our schemes of work so that we teach a unit at a time, and you take an exam at the end of that unit. And we have set exam times in the scheme of work, so you don't bank all your exams and take them all at the end in one mass approach to it. All of our course material is available on our virtual learning environment, which you would have access to as a student. The PowerPoint, we broadly teach by PowerPoint, and all our lessons are recorded. So what happens is the recording records the tutor's voice and what's on the screen. So if at any point during a lesson you think, oh, I didn't quite get that, but we're working through a worked example, you can go back and listen to it after the session. Also helps with revision. The upload, it's recorded live in the lesson, and the upload happens overnight, so it's available the following day. That helps with revision. It helps with catching up on work if you've missed it, or if you just haven't grasped something during the session. Equally, because we do the half-day sessions, we're always available as tutors in the afternoon as well. So if people wanted to stay behind, go over some extra for some extra support, we can do. As I said before, employers are supported with termly progress reports and learner reviews. They carried out every sort of 10 to 12 weeks. We're required to help people improve their employability skills. So confidence with maths goes well alongside accounting, but also confidence with English, written English, business communications is important in those more general units. So that's covered as well. And as a college, our students have access to the wider services. So we've got learning support team that can help with study time, managing time management, planning, sort of revision, and managing anxiety levels coming up to exams. We've got counselling teams that students have access to, and our virtual learning environment contains sort of wider information on employment, opportunities, skills, and healthy living. If classroom isn't possible for you, then we do also offer distance learning courses. So there is an allocated tutor. Every student has an allocated tutor. They would make contact fortnightly. They would plan the learning with each individual, look at the time scale, send out a study plan for each student, and keep in contact with the material. So instead of coming to a classroom session, the distance learning students study their material online, again, still on our virtual learning environment. They work through the course material, have its formal contact fortnightly, but if a student needs support in between times, then we're always available during working hours on a email or phone call. can do a Teams call, that type of thing. So the student works through the online material. They can still take the exams at our centre or remotely. Whenever anyone opts for the remote option, there is an additional invigilation fee because the awarding organisation has to put a additional security and things like that in place. The course structure and the duration of the course, how long you spend for each unit when you want to head for an exam, is agreed with your tutor on a one-to-one basis. So those are more roll on, roll off. So you can plan start and completion times. If you didn't want to start until January, for example, you could start on distance learning. We still recommend for classroom and distance learning courses that students utilize textbooks alongside the classroom offering and along the distance learning option. There is a course book. We adopt BPP textbooks. We can order those in for you ourselves, or you can order them direct. You can use the college discount code because as a student of the college, you're entitled to a discount for those books. So whether we order them or you order them yourself, you can still take that discount. There's a course book that gives you worked examples, and there is an exam practice kit that gives exam style practice questions, because learning the theory is one thing, learning to apply it to an exam style question is another. So it's really important that once you've learnt the theory, you're also learning the techniques to pick up as many marks as possible, because as I said, it's quite a high pass mark for accounting exams at 70%. In addition to, if you're coming into the classroom, in addition to lesson time, you have to put in some additional study time, whether that is before you come into a lesson, looking over some of the material or what we're going to be covering in the textbooks, or consolidation of learning having been in the classroom. We don't tend to set homework as such, but we would always say, right, what we've covered today is chapters 5 and 6 in the textbook. Work through the textbook, make sure you understand it, go through some of the worked examples. If there's anything you don't understand, come in, and we'll ask, and we can go through it next week. Rarely is there only one person that doesn't understand something, so anything anyone brings up, everyone will benefit from. And there's also practice assessments. So we kind of see sort of a ebb and flow of the work time that people put in each week, with it building towards higher work level hours put in as you near an exam, which is really perfectly normal, putting in some extra time, revision time near an exam. Lots of people ask me, how long do I have to spend? And the answer's a little bit like how long's a piece of string, but we would recommend people are putting in around 5 hours a week in addition to their course time. So our taught lessons 4 hours, and then you're looking at putting in another 5 hours a week and if you can do that, you'll be doing really well towards consolidating your learning in the classroom. As I mentioned, additional course material is available in textbooks. Those are an additional cost. There, with the discount, they are about £29 per unit for the 2 books. Time management, your own personal time management, is really essential to success on the course, and I always recommend that, if you're in a family, then let people around you know, I just need an uninterrupted hour, because one uninterrupted hour is worth so much more than catching 20 minutes here and there and being interrupted. Sort of being able to focus on your studies, and it's amazing how quickly that time can go for both you and everyone around you. So if you're coming into a classroom, the lesson time is 4 hours at a set time. How and when you put that additional study time in is entirely can be entirely up to you, how it fits in with your lifestyle. And I know our current students do it. It depends on them and their workplace. Some people choose to go into work a bit early, sit down with their books before they start work, or looking revisiting some of the work on the VLE. Other people sort of do an hour a night. Some people say, no, I'm going to, everyone's out of the house, or it's quiet on a Sunday morning. I'm going to put in some consolidated time on a Sunday. So that extra time absolutely can be arranged to suit you. But I do recommend that whoever's going to embark on these courses, or if you're an employer looking to put an employee on a course, that it's really worth having that conversation with them, because it's a shock if they haven't had that conversation before they start. In terms of how can the course be funded, it can be self-funded by the student, by the employer. There may be local funding opportunities, so government initiatives in certain areas. There is a College of Animal Welfare loans to learn scheme that subject to internal approval, as any loan would be. There are monthly payment options, and there is the government advanced learner loan, which is available only for levels 3 and 4. It's not available at level 2. Or there's the apprenticeship version. So I'm going to go on and talk about apprenticeships a little bit more. So in order to take advantage of the apprenticeship, you have to be employed. So if you are an employer and you're looking at this qualification or this course as an opportunity for one or more of your employees, then it's a three-way agreement. Us as the training provider, you as the employer, and the student on the course. And the apprenticeship combines what they're doing in their day-to-day role with their programme of study. So the three qualifications I talked about, the level 2, the level 3, and the level 4, whichever level the apprentice starts at, and they can start at any of them, they still do that qualification, and they have to collect a portfolio of evidence. The job role that they're doing must align with the level of qualification they're choosing. So what we often find is if someone is in a role in an accountancy practice, they would start at level 3 because that is the type of work they're doing. If someone is in industry, I've got apprentices on level 2 and level 3 this year, and level 4, that they're potentially first job in accounting, and they've started at level 2 to give them a good time to consolidate their learning, learn the new job, started at level 2, and then their role will grow as they move through the qualification levels. So again, we do a pre-course. It says on there a pre-course interview. It is more of a three-way discussion between the three parties. We have to do a skills assessment of what someone's existing knowledge, what is their role, because the qualification and the level and the job have to match. And there is an expectation that there is sufficient new learning within the apprenticeship. So you can't have someone on a level, you couldn't have someone in practice who's been working in practice as a bookkeeper for 2 years already and put them on the level 2, because it would be classed as there's not sufficient new learning. As an apprentice, if you're an employer of an apprentice, or you are looking to be an apprentice as a student, the employer must provide 6 hours paid time per week for study time. So again, you would normally have the apprentices in the classroom, so that's 4 hours of the time. And then the additional time, the additional couple of hours a week, it can be them collecting their portfolio evidence. It can be you're teaching them something new in the workplace. Any workplace learning that someone does can go towards they're called off the job hours. So they can go towards those off the job hours. So if you've got somebody new to the workplace and they're shadowing someone on a job, all of that is new learning. The only thing that the things that don't count is when they've learned how to do it and they're doing it routinely as part of their job. All apprentices collect a portfolio of evidence that shows that all apprenticeships have what's called knowledge, skills, and behaviours listed in them, and duties that are expected duties that someone of that level would carry out. So their portfolio of evidence has to prove that the work they do will meet those knowledge, skills, and behaviours as set out in the standard. and the portfolio that they collect forms the basis of the professional discussion. So most apprentices, they do a final synoptic exam, and they take part in a professional discussion that with an independent assessor from AAT. They've looked at their portfolio beforehand, and it's an hours long discussion. They're asked a number of questions about their portfolio, about their role, in order to confirm that they meet the knowledge, skills, and behaviours. And we have to confirm before they hit that point that they've met the off-the-job training hours of 6 hours a week. Just put a slide up there for the course fees. I haven't included here any local funding opportunities or anything like that because they change year on year. So these are our course fees. They are also on our website. So you can either do a one-off payment or you can do pay as you learn. So that's paid monthly. And you'll see there that the level 2 bookkeeping course, we would expect someone to be able to achieve that in 6 months. The same for the level 3. The level 2 accounting, we do it over an academic year, so it's 9 to 12 months, that course. The level 3 accounting, 12 months, and the level 4 accounting we do as a rolling programme over 18 months. The apprenticeship fees, the government set the boundaries for apprenticeship fees. If you are a levy paying employer, then the payment comes out of your digital account. It's all set up with our funding team, and the payment comes direct to us once your student is enrolled. If you are a non-levy employer, and if that language is alien to you, it is based on the level of your payroll. Effectively, your apprenticeship levy is a payroll tax. Again, if you need more information on that, we can absolutely put you in contact with our funding team, who can help you understand which category you fall into. So if you're a non-levy employer, it's normally much smaller employers, then the employer pays 5% of that fee set by the government. And you can see that the durations for each of those levels are slightly longer because of the portfolio element, the off-the-job hours, and the professional discussion preparation that's needed. There are some employer incentives. So employers who train an apprentice who is under 19, there is a potential for £1,000 incentive payment, which is a government initiative to encourage employers to take on younger people and train them. And apprenticeship fees are potentially free completely for students aged between 16 and 21 if they are working in a non-levy organisation and that organisation employs less than 50 staff. So there are some additional benefits for employers. Again, to find out exactly if it applies to you, absolutely we can talk to you on a one-to-one basis and put you in contact with our funding team, who are the experts on this. As an AAT member, you have to be a student. As an AAT student, you have to be a student member of AAT, and this is a one-off payment direct to AAT for the duration of your time on that level. So you can see that there are differing levels of membership, and I've also added the exam prices there. So that is a payment made directly to AAT, not through us. You have to be a member in order to sit the exams. You do get some extra benefits from student membership as well. You have access to online resources that they've got a lot of resources on there. They've got videos. They've got something called green light test, which you get 10 questions and it tells you whether how you've done well, how you've done on them. If you've done well, it's a green light. If there's a few things you've got wrong, and it's amber, and if you've got a more than half of it wrong, then it's red. And it also takes you through, it just gives you lots and lots of question practice. For every unit, there are 2 mock exams. You have access to the formal exams, and you get weekly communications, careers, study advice from AAT as well. Once you're qualified, you have the opportunity to apply for professional membership. You can be licensed as an AAT accountant or bookkeeper. You can use post-nominals. So I mentioned earlier AAT-QB, which is for qualified bookkeeper, or a member of the AAT as soon as you've qualified and you've applied for membership. Then after time and you completed regular CPD, you become a fellow of the AAT. You've got access to the lifelong learning portal. You've got helplines. There's some discount opportunities for being a member, and there's all sorts of discussion forums, CPD opportunities, webinars that AAT put on, and specific CPD help advice for while you're a student and once you're qualified. So I can see some questions have been coming in. Let me see if I can answer them. So how do I enroll and when do I need to apply to start level 2 in September? You can start your application as soon as you want to. If you go to our website and look at the particular level, there will be an apply now button. The first bit of that is just you giving your personal details. That application will then come through to me. And I'll arrange a conversation with you to talk about what you want to do, just to check, as I said before, check it's on the right level. Find out a little bit about you, whether you're working, whether you're not, so we can support you better. No payment will be requested until all of that has been confirmed, and the enrolment will take between 2 and 4 weeks. It can be done in a matter of days, but that's a matter of everyone responding as quickly as they need to. We don't need very much information from you. We need some personal details, name, address, email address. Information on your prior qualifications is useful but not mandatory. And then, as I said, just to check that you're on the right course, we'll send out our student services team would be in regular contact with you, and you can enroll at any time to start in September. We're looking at starting, our courses will be starting, just looking at a calendar, I think it's around the week commencing the 15th. Yeah, week commencing the 15th of September. So if you want to get it done beforehand, so you know you've got a place, you can absolutely do it now, and it's just sitting there on hold until we start in September. If you want to do it much nearer the time, you can do. It just makes everything a little bit more frantic to make sure that we've got everything that we need if you leave it to the beginning of September. I'm currently a bookkeeper, but ultimately I would like to move into a paid role. How do you think an AAT course would help? Okay. If you're a volunteer bookkeeper at the moment, then you've got some experience. Then an AAT qualification, what I find when I talk to employers is quite competitive. Jobs are quite competitive out there at the moment, and anything that a potential applicant can do to show that they are looking to improve themselves, looking to gain a qualification, and particularly a recognised qualification like AAT will show that employer that they are doing everything they can to improve their knowledge and get some theoretical learning behind their practical experience. So I think it would, if you've got two applications in front of you, one who's got an AAT qualification and one who isn't, the AAT one is likely to get an interview quicker, potentially. So that any qualification, accounting, a solicitor, a surveyor, all of those types of qualifications, you as an individual trade on your own qualifications. So yeah, I'm an ACCA qualified accountant. I maintain my CPD. I've passed the exams, and those qualifications are the things that people will look at if I wanted to move into an accounting based role. So that's how I think that would help. what kind of, if I haven't fully answered these questions, please ask another question, and I'm more than happy to go into it in more detail. What kind of age range people on the course? This year I've got people between 17 and I would say mid-50s. We have quite a big age range. We are a specialist college looking at business related courses and animal related courses. The vast majority of our students are employed, but all of them are with us because they want to go into a profession. So as I said before, our courses, we offer intense courses, so that there's not a lot of opportunity to sit around in a canteen when you're on our courses. You kind of come in and get on. We do have a break, obviously, in those 4 hours if you're in a classroom, but they're pretty intense, and we do find that all age groups work well together. It's a great opportunity to share experiences in the classroom environment. Someone who is older and has been in and around the world of work for longer, even if they haven't been in an accounting role, has just got more life experience, and it works really well. People sharing ideas, whereas perhaps some of the maybe if you're straight out of school, you know some basics of some computerized packages, Excel, Word, but you don't know the full functionality. So there is good sharing, and they're not all young, they're not all old. There's a range on all of our courses, all the levels as well. 4 questions. Okay. Self-employed. So to do self-assessments and tax, will that be under personal tax or business tax? Well, to do your own self-assessment, kind of talking myself out of a qualification here, but to do your own self-assessment, you don't have to be qualified. It is what it says. It is a self-assessment. What you have to do is follow the rules. Some of it will be in the tax processes for business, so that's understanding if you're doing your personal tax, not the VAT element of it, but how you would record payroll tax, or it's more likely to be personal tax, the things that are allowable as a self-employed person, looking at your trading income and what you can claim and what you can't. So that would more be under the personal tax side than the business tax. Can you take more than 2 additional modules in level 4? Yes, absolutely. Doesn't happen very often because people are usually, I just want to get the qualification, and absolutely. But I have had a couple of people in the past do more than two optional modules simply because it interests them or it's beneficial in their workplace. So I had somebody once that did the 2 tax modules and auditing because they were in an auditing role, and I had someone who did the 2 tax modules and they did credit and debt management because they were a credit controller. So yeah, absolutely, you can do. For anything other than the personal tax and the business tax, it's online learning. We don't teach them in the classroom. But we've got online learning that you can do for them. How many weeks is the study for level 3 classes? We broadly follow school academic terms. So we have half terms and end of terms. So I think it's about a 38-week course, potentially with one exam going right to the end of July. Just depends on how much extra time people want. So we broadly follow school term times because, again, somebody previously asked about the age range. We find either it is more mature people that have got children in school and therefore they're tied to school holidays, or there's some family connection whereby the school term times are important. It also, if that isn't an issue for you, then it gives you some downtime from study or some time to catch up. Is the 2573 including the classes? Yes. Let me go back to that slide a minute with the course fees on it, just to refresh my own memory. So that level 3 accounting, the 2573, that is the course, that is the tuition. On top of that, you will need to, can't remember which way it is, the membership. Let me find the membership fees. Sorry, just looking at, oh, there's the student membership fees. So the 2573 is the course fee, all of your tuition. You've got the membership fee on top of that of 243. That is paid directly to AAT and is for the duration of your study on level 3. And then you have 4 exams at £65 each. So those are the additional mandatory costs. I mentioned that we recommend study textbooks alongside. They're not mandatory. They are about £29 per unit. So at level 3, you've got 4 units at £29. But if you don't want, if that's not possible, they are available online on the VLE. I do find that most accounting students want that hard copy. They want something that they can put a note in, put a post-it note in, bring it into class, ask a question, also take around with you. You know, although I mentioned an hour, a concentrated hour is really valuable. So is half an hour while you're waiting for the kids in the swimming pool. So there's lots of ways that you can grab that extra time, and lots of ways those textbooks will help you. Go back to the fees. Busy writing down level 3 and miss level 4. So let me go back. There we go. There's the level 3 and 4 fees for you. Do we have parking on site? Yes, we do have parking on site. So we are in Godmanchester, and we're right on the outskirts of Godmanchester. So it's on a very small industrial estate. All around the college is free parking, and for students, staff park elsewhere. So yes, there is plenty of free parking on site. It is first come, first served. Some days are busier than others, but I haven't heard of any problems with people parking. We're right next to Judith's Field, right on the outskirts of Godmanchester. So yeah, free parking on site as well. Are there any other questions coming in? Can't see any more. I can't see any more questions coming in at the moment. If
Oh, there's just one in the chat, Mel, that asks,
okay.
does everyone have to take exams at the same time?
No, everyone doesn't have to take exams at the same time. We schedule them in the scheme of work. So when you first start on the course, if you enroll on a course in September, you will be given out, or you will have access to, your plan of learning all the way through to the end of your qualification. Say, I'm just going to take level 3, for example. We start with the prepare financial statements, and it's quite a weighty unit, and we study that all the way through to sort of the beginning of January. We have another couple of weeks at the end of our study time where we do some mocks and some revision, so we know people are exam ready, and then we schedule an exam. No, you don't have to take it at that time. We have exams on site in Godmanchester, usually a minimum of 3 days a week and 3 opportunities each day. So we have an exam at 9:30, 11:30 and 1:30. Usually a couple of times a month there is an evening opportunity to take an exam as well. Most people like to take an exam in the morning though, even if they're on an evening class, because they don't want to worry about it all day. But sometimes what we find is if people are a little bit more anxious about exams, they use that day we've got scheduled in the scheme of work to do an exam. They use that for some additional study time, some more one-to-one work with the tutor, and then they choose to take it at a different time. The only caveat I will put on that is if you've studied a unit and you haven't taken the exam, you immediately start studying the next unit. It's not a problem, but it's just something to be aware of. But no, you don't all have to take exams at the same time. Sometimes people use that, as I said, use that extra study time and put an exam on a day that is more convenient to them. So Alison's put in the chat box there the web address. I will also put in my email address for you. So if you wanted to contact, so that's my email address, my direct email address. If you wanted to contact me direct for any other questions or clarification on anything I've said, please feel free to do so. I'm more than happy to answer the questions for you. Another question in the box. So there's lots of different boxes. Sorry, I had it hidden. If I sign up and start in September but holiday in December, how will that work? Can you go back with classes or catch up? But do I have to catch up myself? Well, I said that all the lessons are recorded. So if we're teaching level 3 on a Thursday and you're away for any of that time, you can watch that lesson back from the next day onwards. So that would be available on a Friday morning. So you can catch that up by listening to the lesson. Equally, if not just if we know in advance, but if we can work out something whereby in order to catch up, you can listen to the lesson and then have some more one-to-one help with a tutor, then we can arrange that as well. It's one of the things that we're able to do because we've got smaller classes, or we could perhaps say when you do come back in, perhaps plan to stay all day. You can carry on with the lessons and we can do a bit of extra afterwards, helping you catch up on the sessions you missed. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head where I took us up to in the scheme of work. So our scheme of work for December, this is a guess. I think it probably goes up to the week commencing the 15th. So we're probably still teaching that week commencing the 15th. Then we will have the week commencing the 22nd and the 29th off, and we'll be back in college week commencing the 5th of January, if that helps at all. But if you wanted to drop me a message and I can give you more definite dates, then I absolutely can do. Mention an evening classes for level 4, but is there an option for evening 2 or 3? No, we haven't really had the level of interest in order to put on an evening class for level 2 or level 3 in the last couple of years. If we get enough interest, then absolutely we can do that. But right at this moment, I'd have to say probably not. So hopefully I've managed to give you a bit of background information on the qualifications themselves, a bit of an indication of what's included in each qualification, the cost that you're looking at and the additional fees in addition to the membership, the textbooks, tuition, that type of thing, any opportunities to take out advanced learner loans or college loans, and any incentives for an employer, and looking at the benefits to you. So hopefully I've covered everything that everyone needs. Yeah, sorry, I don't know whether Alison can put it in somewhere for me. I'm not very good at talking and typing at the same time, really sorry. So yeah, hopefully you've been sent the contact details there. So yeah, please get in contact with me direct, or when you booked, all your bookings and everything will come through to the core events, and Alison, who's been supporting us this evening, can pass them on to either our client advisors or to me direct. More than happy to answer any questions for you. So hopefully it's been informative. Thank you for joining me this evening, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.